Hello, my name is Jorge Villalonga. I'm a Spanish therapist, a Gestalt therapist. I was trained in Gestalt therapy and also theater acting. I'm a professional actor. I also studied sociology and I did a training in social psychology. And well, I love my work. And today I'm going to talk about therapeutic theater. My friend Vinay Gunther asked me to talk about some subjects, so I'm going to talk today about therapeutic theater. So, therapeutic theater is kind of a redundance, no? It's kind of it ain't therapeutic by itself. Yes, it is. But then in therapeutic theater, we focus ourselves in the therapeutic aspect of theater, meaning we are not interested in becoming a great actors. We are interested in using the theater tools in order to develop of awareness and also develop the presence and also develop in order to develop more expressive freedom and more spontaneity and also more courage and more happiness and a playful sense of life, kind of a brief description. So how did I became interested in therapeutic theater? Well, it was through my own process when I was living in the States, and then I did my first drama lesson, and then I played the role of El Quijote, Don Quixote de la Mancha, who fought the giants. He thought he was fighting giants, but they were windmills. So this mistake of like mixing reality with our own perceptions. In this case, giants that wanted to attack Don Quixote. So I think that is interesting. So I got interested in theater because it was a tool for me to kind of make a difference between my imagination and reality. So for me, it was very helpful in my own development. And then as I said, I studied therapy and theater, and I mix both disciplines in order to develop a method that includes using the tools of theater, like for example warming up, like what we call it in English is like the check. Like you check, you do an instrumental preparation in which you work with your body, and you work with your emotions, and you work with your attention, and all of those things we use them for being more present, being more aware, and of course the other principle of Gestalt therapy, responsibility. So I found that the theater, if you don't get very obsessed in order to become a great actor, if you use the tools and the attitude of theater, spontaneity, expressiveness, and also this freedom, it's very helpful for therapists. So, for example, one of the things that I find very interesting in Gestalt therapy is the how, the how. Because, in psychoanalysis is why. In Gestalt therapy is how you do things, how you live your life, how you express yourself. So theater is the art of the how. So you can say, I don't know, you can say to be or not to be, that is the question. Okay, the text is the same, but you can say it in different ways. So, of course, the same text can be expressed in a beautiful way, or can be expressed in a very poor way. So that is the how. Also, how do you move on the scene? How do you react? All of the improvisation part. All of those tools, we take them, and then we use the awareness part of Gestalt therapy in order to, after we do some theater exercise or improvisations or even a play, then we share in a Gestalt way, like in a round way, we share what did we learn. And also when you do theater, you expose yourself because you are being generous, expressing yourself. So the payback of being generous in theater is that the people gives you feedback, and the feedback in a Gestalt group, it's always from the first person, no? So I felt, and I am aware that is my own projection. So I felt here, I felt bored, or I felt excited, or I felt angry. So they work both ways, like the chorus. Fritz Perls, he was an amateur actor, and he felt in love with theater when he met Max Reinhardt in German. Max Reinhardt, who was a director of theater, and he kind of adopted him. So Fritz Perls said in his memories that when he met Max Reinhardt, he got enthusiastic about learning. Because before he was a bad student, but after that he said, okay, I want to do this. So he took a lot of the stuff that he learned from theater, from Max Reinhardt, and he used it in his Gestalt therapy method. For example, the empty chair or hot chair is a theater exercise. Or the chorus, it's a theater exercise. These techniques of repetition. So it's also part of the Gestalt training and of the theater training. So I think it's a good marriage. It's a good binding. I also got influenced by the work of Claudio Naranjo, my master, a Chilean psychiatrist that I traveled with him all over the world. And he used to say that in Gestalt therapy, we integrate the Dionysian part and the Apollinian part. The Dionysian part is the part of the spontaneity, the catharsis, like being courageous enough to be able to open yourself to craziness and to surrender to pleasure and to pain at the same time. So that is the theater part, like the crazy archetype. As Orson Welles used to say, this North American director and Citizen Kane director, an actor also, he used to say, when I want to perform a character, it's like if I unmask myself, I take layers. If, for example, I want to become like a tyrant, so I take the layer of the supposedly Democrat, I take the layer of the priest, I take the layer of the good guy, and then I get in touch with my inner tyrant. So we do that in therapy also when we integrate, for example, dreams. When we have a dream, it's like a movie, very complex movie. So when we do Gestalt therapy with dreams, what we do is that we become the character, we become the object, we become our antagonist, we become all the different parts of the dream as if it was a play, and we express them in first person, and then we integrate those parts of our personality that they were projected in the dream. So basically, therapeutic theater, apart from the fact that it's fun, apart from the fact that it's involves the body, involves the expression, it's a way to integrate our different polarities without the judgment and maybe the boredom of like a normal therapy in which you need more time, and then people we usually because of our self concept, we don't want to we don't want to acknowledge parts of ourselves that we feel ashamed of, or we feel guilty. But in theater, it's a play, so you have more freedom to become those parts that you don't necessarily like about yourself. And in theater, it's like you use a coat, you can put it on, and then after the play, you just take it. For example, like, okay, I put this coat, so now I don't like it, so I take it. But I take it away, but then I use whatever was useful of this experience, so I integrate it. So I don't need to become a tyrant. But I can use the tyrant part that are successful in my life, that are that are skilled, like maybe I need to be more of a tyrant in my work or in my own life. Maybe I need to learn how to put limits. Maybe I need to learn how to be a little bit more selfish. Or on the other hand, I can become a saint. So maybe I can learn, I don't need to be always a saint, but I can use that experience that I incarnate during theater play, that feeling, that way of thinking, way of expressing, I can take it with me. It's part of me. If I've been able to do it, it's because I have it inside me. So in theater we say that under the same circumstances we can do approximately very similar things. So in Spanish we have a saying that says that de genio, poeta y loco, todos tenemos un poco. Meaning, like, we have all of us, we have some aspect genius part, some poet part of ourselves, and also some crazy part of ourselves. So it's this freedom that I really like on theater, and this how you call it, you need to be brave and you need to be generous to be able to express yourself in different ways. And therapeutic theater uses the framework, the setting of therapy, of group therapy, in the sense that of course there is privacy. We make some rules that we agree on, like for example non-violence, and of course respectful language. So we make an agreement, and the purpose of the activity is not to become a great actor. It's to use those tools in order to develop, expand your awareness, of course your presence, because in theater if you are not present you are screwed, and also the ability of becoming personal. As my theater teacher used to say, Juan Carlos Coraza, an Argentinian great theater teacher and also Gestalt therapist, he used to say, in art, if you are not personal, you are a screw, because you need to be personal. Because if you act in general, you don't transmit the same specific power. So I think that is useful for therapy. No, in Gestalt therapy we use the form I. It's not that we or people does. No, I want. So theater is a great skill to develop in order to practice this ability of being response able. And I love the game of words in English, responsibility, no? Being able to respond. So in theater, for example, we have improvisation. And of course, the definition of an individual in Gestalt therapy, it's like a function between the organism, the biological organism that I am, and the environment. So what better tool like a safe place like theater in which you can improvise in order to realize this function that we are, this polarity between organism and the environment in the here and now. So that's why I really recommend for all therapies to, at the same time that they use the Apollinian polarity, meaning the mindfulness aspect of therapy, the ability to observe and to meditate and to be aware of your thoughts and your actions and your process, internal and external processes. That is like one hand of the therapist training. On the other hand is the aspect of spontaneity. You know, I think Fritz Perls said that that being authentic, it was like a mixture of being deliberate and spontaneous at the same time. So I think one of the keys to success of Gestalt therapy is, of course, spontaneity, authenticity, and this ability that we have to get inside the field, and of course being able to withdraw from the field in order to have some perspective. So as Alejandro Jodorowsky used to say, we need to be able to become like actors in our own life, and also being able to be the public, the audience of our own life. You know, like the ability to perform, being successful in our performing, and also the ability to have a perspective and being able to see each other like with a witness eye. And I could say also to add to that definition of Jodorowsky that we also need to become aware that we, in a way, we are kind of directors of our own place. Of course, we don't decide in which circumstances we are embedded. We don't decide where we live, what is our gender initially, or our country or social status and all the circumstances. But we can decide with those circumstances what do we choose to do. Of course, being reasonable. No, if I want to become now how you call it, American football player, well, maybe it's too late, and maybe and I don't have the body for it. But given the possibilities, what do you want to do with your life? So I think that is one of the great skills that you can develop with theater. That, okay, life can be fun. Of course, it's also painful, but you can be your own main character in your own play. So also we do some work of for example, or biographical, how you call it? Yeah, or biography. So how did I end up having this character? So the introjects, how did I learn, and now I can do a different play. What do I want to do with my life in the time that I have? So responsibility, taking also. I like this sentence of like doing drama. We learn to de-dramatize. You know, like by playing, by acting, we learn how to let go. So that is one other important aspect of theater. Of course, it's therapeutic theater is an excellent tool for really doing contact with other humans and with myself in depth. Real here and now, you get very beautiful human experience in the contact, no? So what else did I want to say? Of course, yeah, conflict is important in theater. So if you want to have a good drama, of course you need conflict. So that is also a way of learning that conflict in life is inevitable, and on the other hand, it's not something that we are not trained to solve. Conflict, drama, is like the threats of life. So it's interesting to get some self-support by being able to solve conflicts in life through theater. And there are a lot of other aspects in therapeutic theaters that we take from theater. For example, what we call dramatic action. So it's under those circumstances that you don't choose. What is your dramatic goal? What is your goal? So in the here and now, you see whether you are approaching to your goal or what you are doing is not working for your goal. So that is, of course, very related to Gestalt therapy, when Fritz Perls says that we need to learn how to learn how to become aware of what we need and how we're going to go for what we need, and also being able to see the other person that we work. That is more recent Gestalt therapy, like a relational Gestalt. So of course, if I want to get something from you, I need to be able to I need to have empathy with you and to be able to see how do I relate to you, because if I see you, I can see whether you are paying attention to what I'm saying, whether I'm getting closer to what I want, what is that you want, how can we negotiate, and how can we finally have a meeting, a real existential I-thou relationship. It's a great tool to mediate among people. So if Fritz Perls used to say that real contact between people is the appreciation of differences. So that is great. In theater, you learn that. You have different goals, I have a different goals, and maybe we can get together. So if it works, great. If not, repeat again. Another repetition, another improvisation. So it's fun. I think it's a safe place to perform, to do some rehearsal, and I encourage people to practice. You don't need to try to become a professional. Just practice for your own benefit in order to become maybe a more whole therapist and, of course, a human being. Theater is cool, and you don't need to become only an spectator of other people's life. You know, like nowadays with Netflix and HBO and Disney, we are used to watch technology. How about us being the main character in our lives? And how about touching people? And how about expressing the emotions, the 5 basic emotions that Fritz Perls said that we need to express fully, with a lot of power in order to become whole human beings. We can do that in a safe environment, and that is what is therapeutic theater. So I hope you are interested. My name is Jorge Villalonga, and my webpage is therapeutictheater.com in Spanish, teatroterapéutico.com. Thank you for your interest.